Celtics already in good position, according to the odds makers. They're currently co-favorites to win the finals next year, along with the Warriors, the Clippers, and the Nets at plus 600. Behind them on the list, the Bucks, Suns, Sixers, Grizzlies, and Heat. So what do the Celtics need to do to get back to the finals next season? Dan, I think when we all look at this team, there's a couple different things that you can look at in terms of improvements that Brad Stevens needs to make. Number one, the bench needs to be upgraded. They just absolutely disappeared late in that finals. But I think even before that, first and foremost, you have to look at how are you handling the ball?
Yeah.
It felt like every time they received ball pressure, it was really difficult for them to get into their offense.
Right, and again, what Max just said, that's what reminded me about Udoka. The one quarrel I would have would be in the second quarter. In the first half of the last game, when he had Pritchard and White out there at the same time, that was a big part of the 21-0. Maybe that what they really were force-feeding Pritchard there. So the bench isn't there. You know, Stevens has to beef up the bench. We all know that. He's not going to get Tiny Archibald. He's not going to get a starting point guard. You know, that would be nice. That would be the perfect complement. Smart, it looks like he's your point guard. I guess you're going to have to live with that, whatever. But I think the fact that you've got 2 6'8" wingmen handling the ball so much, they both wore down and became turnover machines. The ball's bouncing off their knees, and as Max says, they get in the air, don't know what to do with it. You know, they were worn down, and they shouldn't have the ball as much as they do in these games. You need a point guard, but they don't have one.
Can you get one, though, Max, to be a backup who also handles the ball in critical spots? Isn't that always going to be Marcus Smart? If he's on the roster, and that's where I think they should at least try to upgrade. And I'm not saying get rid of Marcus Smart at all costs, and he's killing this team, because clearly they're 2 games away from a championship with Marcus Smart as the point guard. But, Max, is he a you win with him, or is he a you win because of him kind of guy? I think you can win with him, but you're probably not winning because he's doing all the right things in the right
Here's the thing. I don't think you're going to win without him, especially with this team. And the reason I say that is because heart and soul, he's your best defender. And the one guy that get those guys up emotionally right now was Marcus. He was a guy who was yelling and screaming, and this is what we need to do. Now, is he the perfect point guard? No. But I think what has to happen to me is Tatum and Brown have to be your small forward and power forward. And then I think Marcus Smart, I like him as your point guard. Now, what you need is a score. You got to go out and get somebody else, put the ball in the hole, and maybe have Rob Williams as your center, and Al maybe coming off the bench, grab a couple of players. That's how you think you change this roster.
What about Duncan Robinson?
Duncan Robinson didn't do a whole lot for the Miami Heat in that playoff series.
He makes a barrel of money, but I'm telling you, I think that's a guy they're going to target, just a marksman.
$27 million, and he didn't even play in the game.
And if you're going to be a team that's built around your defense, listen, I'm all for adding scoring too, and add a shooter so that on all these driving kicks you have somebody to go to with the ball. But this is a defense that lives on its ability to switch, and I don't think he's going to defend anybody, is he?
He was maybe one of the worst defenders in this league, to the point where they put him where they put him on the bench. Now, from a standpoint, the way the NBA is set up, he does have something. When you think about having that knockdown scorer that you throw the basketball to coming off these picks and allow other guys to move with the basketball, I would like it. But for that amount of money and putting pressure on their defense, because defensively, what happens if he switches on Curry?
Not so good.
Let's do it like this.
So instead of scoring 35, he scores 45. I don't know. I think at some point you might have to be willing to sacrifice a little bit of defense to get a little better on offense. And they're just so lacking so much poise and all the turnovers and the ability to run a half-court offense. It's like all of these things need to improve, and you might have to take a little bit away from your defense.
The biggest thing that happened to me when I looked at their offense, especially the breakdowns in that second half, in the third quarter, was the fact there was no ball movement. What you had was everybody essentially, once the ball got to Tatum, he couldn't beat his man one-on-one. Now he gets into the lane, he loses the basketball, or everybody's standing watching. Golden State, you watch your offense. It was always, ball was moving, and you could never turn your head. The Celtics were very predictable on their offensive end, and I think that really cost them.